Well, we always like a good surprise here at Grecian Echoes, and a very good friend of just walked through the door, and I'm so surprised, and I want to say, I think you will be as well. We have in studio today Tina Papadopoulos, who has come all the way from all the way. So, and she is here with us today. Kalimera, Tina.
Kalimera Maleti, Kalimera to everyone who is listening right now on the big show. It's been a long time since I've actually been here on a Sunday, other than for Radiothon. So it's really nice to be here, and what a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day, an absolutely beautiful day. Thank you for coming. How is the traffic? It's, I guess we should say Catholic Easter or...
Yeah, Catholic,
Western Easter.
Western Easter. It's no, it's actually it wasn't too bad. Compared to what it normally is during the week, coming down at this time of day. But it was a fairly easy ride. It actually takes longer for me to get to the highway than it actually did to get once I got on the highway and came down here.
Yeah,
so.
It's a little bit of my situation where I live up in the woods in New Hampshire. It takes me 15 minutes to get to anything. A main road.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It takes me actually a little bit longer than that now, but it's probably closer to about half an hour or so to get to, or sometimes a little bit longer, but I'm here.
So
I'm here.
What's the good news, Tina? Bring us some good news. We need it.
The good news? Oh, I just wanted to come down and say hello. And I knew that you were by yourself today, so I thought it would be a good, you're always asking me to come on, and lately it's been very difficult with everything else that's been going on. So here I am today.
Yeah.
I have to do a shout out to Rob because, we were going to go to breakfast this morning, but that's okay. So Rob, I'll see you later.
You should have brought him in. We could have had breakfast right here.
I thought of that. Just as I was going out the door, I was like, okay, that's okay.
It's so unusual being here for me on a Sunday, and it's so nice that you came in. What is your news? What's been going on?
Primarily it's been a lot with the nursing home. As a lot of people know, I'm the president of the HWBA, the Hellenic Women's Benevolent Association. So that's been very, very busy, trying to get things together. And
how many years has the HWBA been around?
So, as you know, last year we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the building, of the opening of the nursing home,
That's
HNRC,
right.
Hellenic Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. And this year, we are actually celebrating the 70th anniversary of
70th.
HWBA. So it was in 1954 that these women came together and established HWBA, and it took almost 20 years for them to raise the funds. They had a mission in mind, and it took them almost 20 years to raise the funds to find the land, to build, and then to open the doors for the facility for
So,
our
as far as you can tell, from the very beginning, the mission of the HWBA has been to build the nursing home.
Yes, it was to have a place for the elderly to be able to come to. And of course, it was based around the Greeks, but obviously when we built the facility, or when the wonderful woman who did this 70 years ago, when they built the facility, it was open to everyone.
Right.
But we do a lot of things that are more geared towards our elderly. For example, last Sunday actually, we had our Greek Independence Day celebration, which was a great afternoon. We were very fortunate that the Consul General, Mr. Simeon Tagos, came down along with his wonderful wife and daughter, and they came to celebrate with us. They love the elderly. They love the nursing home. We were so happy to have them there. We had George Papadopoulos and the sons and daughters of Alexander the Great to do some dancing.
Yeah.
We had Nectaria Boustris, who came and sang the national anthems. And, at one point when they were dancing, one of the residents actually just immediately wanted to get up and dance with them. So they were all thrilled. And, we had the traditional Greek flag cake, and it was a really nice, great afternoon, actually.
Really, it sounds beautiful, and I remember several times seeing George Papadopoulos' group perform there, and for lunch under the tent, and for years that was just such a nice gathering.
It was, and we haven't actually had that. We haven't had luncheon under the tent, which was an annual event, I think, for almost as long as, the nursing home has been open. And traditionally it was done on Father's Day. So that was, pre-Tina. By many years, but I think that the last time we had a luncheon under the tent was in 2019. Then, of course, everything is, pre-COVID and then post-COVID. So that was the last time pre-COVID, and we have not had one since then. Coming back into play, with getting things back to normal. And of course, with the nursing home, it took even a little bit longer because we have to be extremely careful when we have events and things like that. So we're not quite sure if we're going to be going back to having luncheon under the tent again. But, we're looking to do other things. And as you know, last year, right around, the end of April, last year in 2023, we had the gala, which celebrated the 50th anniversary. So
That
we've been
was
keeping
lovely.
busy. Yeah.
That was a very nice event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So that's your one hat. How is your daughter's hat?
My daughter's hat has also been busy, but very, very good.
No, you're president of, what's the chapter name?
So, right, right now I'm president of the Orion Chapter 130, which is the Boston chapter, and that has been around for a long time. I think we're coming up on our 90th anniversary next year, or the year after. I'm trying to remember. I didn't come prepared for that, sorry. But I've been in the Daughters now. This year I'm celebrating my 10th anniversary with the Daughters.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Are all 10 years in the Orion chapter, or did you belong up north?
I actually first got started in Peabody with the Zelia chapter. That's where I was initiated, and then, that North Shore, but then it was just easier to be down here in Boston, so I re-upped my membership down here, and so this is where I am.
Well, it's I think it's wonderful, all the things that you're doing, but to be a president in two organizations is a lot of work.
Oh, well, again, that wasn't supposed to happen that way, and again, it stems back to COVID, because I was actually in line to become president I think it was 2020, but that's when everything happened, and headquarters, the Daughters of Penelope headquarters, asked everyone to stay in their current positions until COVID was over, not realizing it was going to take a couple years. But that's why the HWBA and Daughters of Penelope kind of converged together, because everyone was saying you're crazy, and I'm like, I know. But there was really nothing at that point that I could do. So it's been a balance act, but it's worked out well because, on both sides, I have a great boards.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure you're challenged, as all the organizations are, in recruitment. How do we get the next HWA people? How do we get the next Daughters? Is there a Maids chapter in Boston?
Actually, yes. The Maids chapter started 2 years ago. It's wonderful. Athena Barbary actually helped to restart this.
Nice.
She was the president. She's now actually a freshman in college, but she was able to get along with many others, to establish what was, the largest Maids chapter in the U.S. So I don't know if they're still at that level because other chapters have going, but there was just another chapter that was started up in Peabody. So that's new. So, at one time, as you know, in our younger years, the Maids of Athena, the Sons of Pericles were all extremely active. There were a lot of, people, joining. They were very big. And that, has come down a little bit. And we had lost several chapters, but there seems to be a resurgence. And, they're working towards that. We all are working towards that, actually.
Well, that's good. That's very good. I was speaking with an old friend of ours, Andy Rempus.
Oh, hello, Andy. I know you're always listening.
I hope he's listening, because he was telling me about the Hellenic Square and Compass Club.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have relatives that were in the Masons, and I didn't know about this Hellenic order. And I asked him, I said, so Andy, what, he said, well, this went on for years. And I said, well, is the material archived anywhere? Did anyone save anything? He says, well, I don't know. People started dying out. The organization started dying out. And when they lose steam, but when we were growing up, there was a lot of steam.
Oh, there
was a lot of participation.
There was, and we always go back to this, but so I grew up on the North Shore in Newburyport, and every Thursday in the mail, my parents would get the Helena Chronicle at the time.
Yeah.
And I, even, 12, 13 years old, I started to read it, basically cover to cover. I don't know, maybe I was starting my passion for being really involved in the Greek area, but, I remember seeing all these things. That's actually how I got to know what was going on, so that many, many years later, when I ended up moving into the Boston area,
Yeah.
I knew who everyone was. I knew what all the organizations were, because obviously they were primarily based in and around the greater Boston area. And that's how I knew everyone, is because I was always reading about them or seeing their pictures in the Helena Chronicle.
Right.
And so that was how I got to know things. And, sometimes, like when you're talking about the Helena Compass Club, I remember reading about that. I remember seeing pictures, and sometimes I really wish too that I had kept all my old Hellenic Chronicles, my parents' Hellenic Chronicles, I should say, and everything, since then, to be able to look back and, remember.
Yeah, there's nothing like the actual newspaper, having it in your hands. I'm still an old-fashioned guy. I still print up everything. But as people know, we went through the Hellenic Chronicle digitization project, and from that we have digitized the archive from microfilm and from the paper issues that were available. It's been something that has been a resource to the academic community and the greater community, so we're very happy for that support. But that's exactly it, that's one of the sources of our history, and as sources disappear, then we haven't written our history, and now the older people that can tell kind of the stories and maybe even have some of the material themselves
Right.
are passing away, and then things end up getting left somewhere, and then donated to Greek Cultural Resources.
If they make it that far.
If they make it that far.
That's the scary part when I think about it. And actually, the older I get and the more, I look around at things, and you want to really find out about certain things. And there's still, people out there that can kind of give you firsthand accounts, but
Absolutely.
they are leaving us. And those organizations that were as strong as they were back in the day, I look at, Goya, we always talk about Goya. Again, we were all involved in it, but even prior to us, it was even stronger.
Yes.
And a lot of people know about it, but a lot of people don't know that the chapel was raised by funds that the Goyans had done, I think, in the 50s, and that's how it was built.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if going down the road, that people aren't going to remember that unless they actually go up there and read the little sign, that they're not going to realize that, these things have occurred. I mean, things are just going to go by the wayside. We think, everyone's always going to know that this, building was donated by these people or by this person, or some great things that have been done. But after a while, as the generations go by, I mean, I'll take it to something. You talk about the Beatles, and who thought that people would not know who the Beatles are? I mean, it's kind of a funny sort of analogy, but
Right.
we always thought they would always know, right? And they don't.
We're talking. Our guest this morning is Tina Papadopoulos, a woman who needs no introduction. She's very, very, very active in the community, in the Omogenia, and she has been for years. And I think if we went down Tina's resume, there would be several stops that I would want to make in that memory trail. It's one of these days we still have to talk about the organizations that were around, that first Mary Cleary and Thanasi were in. Do you remember? And we used to have these dances.
Oh, the Action.
Well,
the ball.
Action, and then
before that, there was oh my goodness, it actually kind of
these organizations have been happening for many, many years.
Right.
So Tina, help our audience understand again, because it's driving me crazy. Why on the flyer for our parade does it say 28th annual, when you know that last year I had pulled out some ads from 1942, pictures, and then to this year I pulled out a whole newspaper article that was in the
great.
Boston Globe from 1903. And it's interesting that in 1903, the same day as this year, April 7th, is
right,
the
it falls
parade.
the same day.
Now, this is Greek Heritage Month, and I want you to take a deep breath and tell me, why does this say 28th annual? What am I missing?
I think, well, here's a good example. I
Yeah,
think
please.
here's the good example is that, the Federation who's put that together, is basing it on, I think, the time that they've been doing it. And
Oh,
I'm saying this not knowing exactly, but,
sure.
of course, you've got the people who are working so hard, who work on the Federation, producing the parade. But again, I don't know if they, as generations come by, come through, right? Were they aware? I think that the parades must have stopped for a little while. That's my only thing. And this is a good question to ask.
Well, you have to be very careful when you put out this literature. Now, remember, we don't have our history really together. So,
Right.
and students, people today just do a Google search, and what they find, they find.
Right. It's the most recent and things that they've been putting up now.
So that people would say, "Oh, well, the Greeks are holding their 28th annual." Well, that doesn't really drive with history, and so we're rewriting it, and it overwrites. And I hate to say that, but I think we have to be more mindful and more celebratory of the good things we have done.
But the only way that you can do that is if there's history that's been recorded in some place that's within uh, an area that you can access.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Here it is, Tina. I mean, we're a couple generations removed from the context of this now, right?
Right.
And what I'm concerned with, and we talk about it all the time, is what are we doing about our history that hasn't been written? It's a real serious matter, and I can't seem to get anyone's attention on it. Everyone seems focused on ancient Greece.
Um,
Am I missing something here?
no, and I mean, ancient Greece and learning about that and where our deepest
Wonderful
roots are is
thing.
fantastic. We should not. But I think that one of the things that we are doing or that we're not doing is also concentrating on this current history of the past 120 odd years.
Not at all. With our children now, if you and I had children, they'd have no context at all.
They they don't. I mean, the thing is some organizations are very good at putting together what they are, what they've done, and other organizations are not. But all of these organizations have made a real huge difference to, our history. Even the smallest organizations have made a difference. Even if they're only around for 10 or 15 years, they have made a difference. And all of that should be recorded. The churches, you know, all of their history should be put together so that we can go back and look at it.
Yeah,
That's
it should be a
it's
priority.
critical.
It needs to be a priority in the community, and whoever's listening needs to think about if they're involved in one of these organizations, what will it take to get people interested? It's one way of engaging people. We've done it up in New Hampshire. We have a volunteer staff that's staffing a library that's funded by totally self-funded in the community.
I know that is amazing. That
I
is
mean, it's
actually
like it's a proof that people want this history. I just came back from the University of Florida. I stood in front of students and I showed them pictures and I told them stories about Greek American history that they have never seen, ever.
it's amazing.
I mean, archival material going back, the newspapers that are not in any of the libraries. If there's anyone listening with any heart for Greek American heritage, you should be very alarmed, right?
Yeah.
But why aren't we? Why do we just why does this go by everybody?
I think it's because people just aren't really thinking about it, or they start thinking about it later in life. But recently on Facebook, this is one of the good things about Facebook, is that they have the memories that come up, and one of the memories that just came up a few days ago, actually, was I had posted something. You had a picture of the collection that you had brought in from Oscar Papanastasiou,
Oh,
the radio announcer, very beloved man from the Lynn Peabody
what
area.
a great guy! He used to teach people Greek.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, what an amazing person.
Amazing person.
Yeah, and we
in the
had
community.
the great benefit of knowing him, and what he was doing was also historical. As this radio station is, right?
Yeah.
But I thought, oh my God, and I remember how that collection was almost thrown out.
I know.
His radio collection, his recordings, the records, everything that he had collected and had done, which is significant, especially in the media. These things are
Yeah.
important. It was almost thrown out.
Well, actually, this son felt very bad when he learned what I was doing, because I've taken in now four radio station collections worth of history. So we're talking about programs, advertisements, the whole nine yards, interviews, and it's part of Greek American history. It's part of something that we need to save and support. So there's the dichotomy here when we say, we're proud of our heritage, but yet we don't want to support preserving it. We want to consume it. And
Yes.
I went down to Florida and I played the AHEPA theme song. Should I play it for you?
Oh,
It's part of the AHEPA history that the
absolutely.
AHEPA doesn't know about. But it was a processional. There was a record that was produced. There was sheet music. We have the lyrics. It was on a piano roll. It was a march. It was a processional. And I have an interview with a very old man from a very long time ago, and he said to me, "I remember them marching to that," and he was in a happen. So, but I can't get around and interview everyone. But there's your history.
It is, and
And what do
it's.
we have here? I did bring in a little box. I have to be.
know.
I
I
just
can't
thought
get
maybe
over it. I haven't had a chance to go through it. We need more time,
we
Aleti. That's the
do.
problem.
So Tina, because Tina's an officer in the Daughters of Penelope, I thought I'd bring by a box. What is it? What's the size of the box? Is it like a banker's box?
Yeah, it's like a
filled with
bank, right?
Yeah, it's filled with files from 1949 up until I think I found them to the 80s. And it is Daughters of Penelope files, meeting minutes, all kinds of things here.
This is a treasure
Registered.
trove.
It's really a treasure trove. There's programs in there. There's conference material. There's correspondence with the. It's
So,
unbelievable.
so Maleti, tell me something. When you, as the founder of Greek Cultural Resources, when someone gives you, because I know you're getting calls all the time regarding collections.
Right.
And by the way, most people like just thinking about record collections, but people are depositing things with you all the time.
Oh yeah.
When something like this comes in,
Right.
what do you do? What's the process?
Well, I mean, it's first of all, to process the material in itself is a lot of work, and I'm a person of one. I'm working 3 jobs to keep the roof over the collection, and we've tried to get funding through projects and funding to keep the lights on. And from the Greek community, there's been very little of either. We did have success with the Hellenic Chronicle project, and thanks that people could understand that. But there's a problem right now, or there's, should I say, an opportunity, that this material, frankly, isn't being cared for and hasn't been cared for in the existing system. So we need something else. And it's not just the collection that I have at home, which is a collection of collections. So this box of material would get processed and prioritized based on what the demand is at that point and what I can personally handle. So right now I service many scholars, postdoctorate scholars. Panos Liaropoulos had come recently and drawn off of the collection to place some files in Greece. In these historic archives, and other people have come by. We have collaborations going on. We had an intern last semester processing Goya material. So much more could happen. Now, there are good people in the community that call up and they say, like our friend Arsinoy, I think I can have either between 4 and 6 students from Greece come and help to process your material, which is great because we need bilingual. We need people that can
Of
read
course.
Greek. I mean, she said, all we'd have to do is put them up, and feed them. Well, I don't
do you
have
do
those
that?
resources, right? And so when people call, my work is not just to process the material and document it, but I also have to make it accessible to the extent that I can. But you have, again, we're become a culture of consumers. We want gimme, 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 and at some point, someone's going to say, "This is really important. We should all be doing this." daughters, church, Heffens, every organization, every young person should be talking to every old person. And by the way, we should be teaching this in school. We've got to write Greek American history into American history. Then stand up and say to me, March is Greek American Heritage Month. I was so hurt when I saw that online because it's not a stand up and do a rah-rah at a sports game. That's wonderful. It's a great community builder. Don't get me wrong. It raises money that goes in good places. However, that is not Greek heritage. Has nothing to do with Greek. Baseball was invented here in America. And let's be honest, but why not? Why couldn't we be celebrating our Greek American heritage? Because it's exciting, it's beautiful, it's accomplished, it's who we are, it's what we should be connecting our kids to.
Oh, absolutely.
And yet, have we been good stewards of this material? Obviously not. And do you think that our kids are going to even understand it? Probably not.
No,
because we're taking them out to the ball game. We're creating this environment without speaking the reality.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually, doing things like the Greek Heritage Night, whether it be baseball or the basketball, whatever, is great because it's giving, a face. I mean, we're out there doing something, but I agree that we need to be doing more, and because the further away we get from those beginnings, I mean, let's face it, and people hate to hear this, but we've become very assimilated. We are becoming much more homogenized.
Well, yeah, that was inevitable.
And the strength that we had in the beginning when all of this was happening is not there. And so we really do need to record this. We need to make sure that it's put somewhere where people can access it and to see just how strong and colorful and amazing this all was from day one when we started coming here from Greece.
This discussion, thank you for putting it so beautifully. This isn't maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. This is something that we have to do. It's our responsibility to write our history. We are leaving dark periods in our church books where decades. I'll speak of churches outside of the metropolis, so we won't make it too personal, but a friend of mine called me from a parish down in Maryland, and he's the historian, and I said, you're so lucky you've been in the same building since 1906. And I said, do you have all of your files? He says, no, we're missing almost 15 years of our church registry books, the registry of marriages. And you know how important that is, right? And let's bring it home to people. If you go for your Greek citizenship, you better hope that the church can issue an affidavit of that record.
Right.
And if it's not there, then you better hope that someone's around that can vouch for you. But our history is disappearing.
It is. And, it's not people who want to learn about their own families. I've been meeting so many people who, again, they're not as close. They've come, their great-grandparents were very involved. They had come from Greece. In some cases, their great-great-grandparents. But the further along you get, they have lost it. There have been mixed marriages. People move. It's only in the last 10 years that, we really, or maybe a little bit longer, that we've been had the internet, the capabilities to scan documents, to put them somewhere, et cetera. And even then, it's difficult. So we need to really focus on this, because what it is just a smaller. Well, with our own families, we want to record things. We take pictures. We have birth certificates. We have all of these things, and it would hurt us.
And we have a saying. May their memory be eternal. And yet we say that, and at the same time we're throwing out their stuff. I mean, this is literally what's happening. It happened in my own family.
It's happened to every family.
Because people see it as a pile of junk. We can't tell you how important these documents are. And in those boxes of junk, quote unquote, as I get a call to pick up a collection, and it was of newspapers that have not in any library in the world. That is our heritage. That my phone should be ringing like constantly. But what it's ringing for is from scholars saying, can we have scans of that? Can you share that with us?
And here it is in your
in
your
my
collections,
in my collection,
depository, right?
and there's a long line of people that want to have this, access to this material. The kids are hungry for it. They're like, what are we doing?
We have to do something because, and again, what I'm excited about with Greek Cultural Resources, and I'm going to put a call out there. We need to support this organization. Is the fact that it's unlike some of the other libraries and all of that, where a lot of times you cannot access. I think what people don't realize is you cannot access, if you're the average layperson, to get materials or to be able to look back at things. And that's what makes me
Right.
crazy. Even the Library of Congress, you just can't go in there and say, I'd like to see this.
No, in fact, right. We have there's access problems in the existing institutions. There's the fact that our materials aren't processed. Our material is scattered right now, Tina. Before you came into HWBA, I took a group of people from your organization to the Lowell Center in Lowell, Massachusetts.
I heard about
The University
that.
of Massachusetts in Lowell. And, they have a center there, and there were historic records from your organization that had been left there. They were on the shelf. No, you guys didn't know about it, right?
No.
So, and the only reason that I know about it is because I'm a researcher. I'm a research scholar. I go into these institutions. But to the extent that they don't process the material, don't provide access to it, or are in fact hostile, and have no relationship with the community, why do we continue to support them?
Right. That's why we have to support right here in our own under Greek Cultural Resources, and that's the thing. I mean, we really need to do that. I do want to do a shout out to two people who are listening.
Uh-oh, are we in trouble now?
No, one is Evanthea.
What a lovely person.
She's wonderful. So I just wanted to shout out, and then also George Danis, who George Danis is a wonderful
Mr.
supporter
Danis.
of many things.
My God,
and here's
it's-
someone in the community who understands and who really realizes. I mean, the people like this who they're leaders.
Well, how many people have he? I was just thinking of that. He has mentored more people, and he has
And continues to.
Right, continues to. Don't want to speak in the past, but I'm saying George is one of those people that I wish that I could sit down and interview. Because I always learn from people like that. All we have to do is really step back and let the wisdom step forward.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of that in the community. So
we do,
that's-
and we need to make sure that those words of wisdom, in addition to having what they've done, but this needs to be recorded. These need to be recorded. We need to know about a George Danis and a George Barakis and all of these people who've done some great things. Because otherwise, down the road, people aren't going to remember, or they might remember the name and then a little further down, they're not going to know. And then what happens? And,
Yeah.
to go by a building and to understand, and if there's a name on that building that's a Greek, name, I want to understand, like, well, who is this person? And let me find out. But if there's nothing written down, if it hasn't been recorded,
You're in trouble, right?
We
And
don't
even
know.
Even now, some of the people we've talked about, George, for example, there was a Greek American magazine that had been donated that a retired professor from Virginia had shipped up over 300 copies. My magazine, a Greek American magazine collection is just, and these are things that are not available.
right? Right.
That were not collected by the libraries, are not cataloged by the libraries, and they're certainly not being processed. They're ending up under some pan of spanakopita. I don't know.
I know. And the thing is, too, is that when you're as a family member, right, or, further down the line, and you look at this stuff, and then all of a sudden you're reading about something, and then you see a family name, and you're going, I didn't realize that. I didn't know about that. I'm going to say something about the gentleman that just walked in right now.
Mike Chanity is
Mike
the
Chanity.
unsung hero here in Grecian Echoes.
Yeah.
Mike is Mike. Take a bow.
I know, and the reason I wanted to mention something is because, again, growing up, my MJ the DJ, right?
Right.
So he was such a part of all. I mean, he had his wonderful career, but he was such a part of the Greek dances because he would be the DJ coming in doing all the American music, and
Yeah.
he was a part of those memories. And it's like we need to see the pictures. We need to, that needs to be written into all of this.
I have
And
to
it's
tell you,
something and it's more recent, right?
did you see the picture of Mike that we found in the Chronicle of him with the basketball?
No, did I
and
miss
the
that?
big hair? Yeah, that was yeah. So yeah, right, exactly. Our own history.
Yeah, and
It's
that's more recent because
but
that only was like 10 years ago, right, Mike?
I wish.
Yeah.
so in that box is a HEPA history, daughter's history. Not just local chapter, but it extends because there's convention material, and the Goya material went back to the 50s. We have the intern processed this collection. That's the largest collection of Goya material outside of DePaul University.
That's
where
amazing.
yeah, where so
So
anyway,
if we don't have this information where we can access it,
right.
then what? And not to understand where our history was, then what does it mean? What does it mean?
We rewrite it. What happens is that people get stuck in a loop. They talk about the same thing over and over again. And I won't mention any names, but I think you'd be interested in this. I met with a 40-year-old person who is considered an influencer. Do you know what that is? In social media, of course you do.
Course
it's
I
your
do.
field. Right. But an influencer, Mike probably knows too, you can put up a picture and within an hour you'll get 400,000 likes. And I looked at his work, and he's Greek, and I told him about my work, and I said, how can you take historic preservation and put that in a little soundbite for your audience? And then I looked at his work, and I said, you're showing the same pictures, you're telling the same stories over and over. He goes, yeah, I know. Well, that's not healthy. What about all this history? I've got thousands of stories, thousands of pictures, articles, things that we need to understand. So Tina, I'm going to give you the final word here because you know that I have to race up to up in Manchester, New Hampshire. We have Chris Chrisafidis, who is going to be there. And also a couple of other people you may know. Costa Sideridi is going to be, he's
great.
gone up to support. Yeah, and also Bob Davis from the Cathedral, whom I haven't seen Bob in years. We have the phone. The phone is ringing, Tina, so let's see. Can we
Sure.
we take it? We'll see what's going on here. Let's hope it's not hostile fire. We're going to answer right on the air. And hello, you're tuned to Grecian Echoes. Kalimera.
Kalimera, Meleti, and Tina. I wanted to call and say good morning and congratulate you and Tina for all the work and even the recording that you are doing.
Thank you.
For
Thank you, George.
Helene in the area and whoever reads it.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George. Thank you so much.
As I said, George, and I know, so George, we still have to do lunch soon if you're back, because he was in Greece for a while.
Really? That's nice.
George, are you back from Greece?
I just came back on Wednesday, and unfortunately, I had to rush over we lost my sister-in-law.
I'm so sorry.
The pillar of the house of the family, since I remember, since I was very young man, so I was a big loss in the whole family. So, but I guess time goes on, and we have a good memories. But anyway, so I'm back, and I was listening to the radio. Karen and I were listening to the radio, and I'm very proud of Meletios and you for all the reminding that you all do. So I really wanted to thank you very much, and
thank you, George.
And tell the listeners that they need to really put aside a great appreciation for all your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you, George.
Thank you, George. And I think, one of the things that hopefully as we go forward, is that, we need to make sure that the tools are there for the Milettis who can, help us to create this. And he himself, and I'm going to say this, has been a great, I mean, he's the champion who has been putting this all together. And again, I know time is running because you have to run to New Hampshire, but if you look at what he has been able to do at the Manchester at St. George's Cathedral, all of the information that's been processed, history,
Right.
and now what they're doing, we need to use that as the plan going forward for all of our individual organizations as well as the churches, so that we never lose any of this.
Absolutely, and one of the things that I've been trying to do is really get the young people together. I have several times throughout the years I do luncheons or dinners, and trying to recap and inform our young people, because that's where we really depend on the future. They are the future. And if this isn't acclimated and put together, as well as get them together, because a lot of times people will not go and read, or let's say reminder. A little story. A friend of ours has two little boys. The 4-year-old boy, it was in preschool, and because the family keeps the Greek music continuously in the morning, the little boy, the school, they had a music to dance, and so the little boy says to the teacher, says, "Put some Greek music so I can dance."
You
The
see,
4-year-old.
the
About that.
4-year-old.
he's absorbing this. He's absorbing this, and this is
Exactly.
that's
You know,
it.
so really keep doing. By the way, before I forget, I do want to get together with you and learn more about all the hard work you've been doing with the music.
Thank you,
and things. I
George.
remember you sent me the picture of an interview back in the 72, I think was,
Yes.
that I had with the Tricot Kirika, as well as with Peter Agris and the Hellenic Chronicle, was a good friend for many, many years, and we used to continuously talk and even orchestrate a lot of his articles that he was putting in about the Greek community and the political leaders that we had those days. Was
Right.
Much easier.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I would love to talk with you about that, George. That'd be great.
Was much easier for the Greek community to get together because of the political leaders that we had. Obviously, Dukakis, for so many years back from 1970 on, and the 88, with all the help of the Greek community across the country. I was amazed because I spent over a year and a half from 86 all the way to the end of 86 after the third election of Michael at the State House. We continued on 87, 88, all across the country. It was amazing. Wow. And then, of course, in 1980, against Carter, because I supported Kennedy, and I went across the country, and I raised, in 1980, over $3 million from the Greek community because of Cyprus, and Kennedy was a very advocate of the
So
of the
George, here's a good example, Miletti. This is a great example because if this isn't written down, all of these things. So George was a catalyst for a lot of this, obviously, and continues to be. But if this hasn't been written down and somewhere where people can access it when they're doing their research, this story, what he has done, is going to get lost.
It does. It gets lost, and it gets retold by someone else.
To sort of reveal a little story, a little news that some of my experience have been recorded. I'm just printing a book of my memoirs.
Finally.
Yeah, it's getting printed right now, and it's going
Great.
to be. We are doing the publisher doing the marketing. Will be the opening. Will the final opening marketing will be in the end of July, beginning of August. It'll be in the stores all over the place.
That's so
Oh,
great.
that's so
wonderful.
exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
the heading is interesting. It calls to the story that we're just talking about. Go far, live Greek. I'm sorry. Go far, give back, live Greek.
Oh,
Live Greek.
listen
That's
to
what your
that.
motto is all the
I love
time.
that.
Live Greek,
Wow.
George.
Yeah,
That's
and-
fantastic.
As a matter of fact, that comes from a message that I got from my mother when I left Greece at the age of 18 to the Merchant Marine and so forth. And live Greek is not really how much olive oil you put in your salad or how much feta you eat. It is really
Oh, where did George go?
Did we lose him? George? George, are you back?
yeah, we got lost for a minute.
Yeah, for a minute we seemed, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Anyway, the book is really, I came far all the way from Greece, and I try continuously to do whatever they can and give back. And the most important, live Greek. It doesn't mean how much olive oil you put in your salad or a feta cheese. It means to see the value of community, helping your neighbors,
That's beautiful.
offering
That's
support
where it's
to
at.
people
Yeah.
who need it, and realizing the responsibility that lies on all of us.
It
That-
does, George.
And
That's
that's
fantastic,
part-
George.
that's part of the. As a matter of fact, if not knowing when I first my growing up, but that's part of our Constitution. We the people.
Right. Right. That's what it was.
I grew up
yeah.
in a constant, clear illustration of power of the community, and that's also what I found. I came.
George, I don't know what's happening today.
I know. I apologize. In any way, happy Easter to all our friends, our Catholic friends, and the Christian community.
That's right.
And I want to thank you very much for the work that you're doing. And let's get together as soon as we have time. You have time.
That would be great, George. Thank you. Thank
George,
you for calling.
I'm going to call you tomorrow so we can make some plans, and it can be the two of us or with Maletti, but I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Melody, send me on a message. Send me your telephone number so I can call you sometime.
I will, George. Thank you very much. Thank
Have
you.
a great day, and thank you for all you're doing. Thank you very, very much. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, George.
Thank you.
So hello to George and
great,
Karen
great
for
day.
thank you.
Thank you. Wasn't that nice?
It was so a good hello to George and Karen. George is always so wonderful like that.
But he's writing.
always,
He's publishing a book. I had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited.
Well,
to,
isn't what
to-
he's saying too? It's all true. But thank you. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm
Thank you.
sorry there's so many more questions that I want to ask you, but I've got to go up the mountain now
I know.
and introduce Chris Chrisafidis, who's going to be speaking about the Archons, which I have to admit, I don't know enough about that.
That's
so
going to be great.
It'll be
I
really
wish I
great.
could. I wish I could go. I wish I could come and listen today, but unfortunately, it's been a crazy time. But Maletti, also thank you for so graciously welcoming me today, and I'm looking forward to coming back and chatting some more.
Please do, Tina. Anytime. The door is always open. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Grecian Echoes here on WNTN 1550 AM in Cambridge, Needham, and Boston, streaming at WNTN.com. It's a Sunday with Maletti and Maletti Poliopoulos sitting in for Ted Dimitriadis and Nicoletta today, and so happy to have Tina and George. And do we have anyone else call in? No, it was just us today. So this was very nice, very, very nice. And we're going to leave you with a selection of from our playlist, and then Mike Janity will be in to host with the Benchwarmers, and that's coming up at the regular time.